is hit a boom boom room while I zoom zoom. Turn that shit up. All I wanna do is hit a boom boom room while I zoom zoom. Turn that shit up. We gon' start this shit all right. We gon' talk that shit all night. We gon' start this shit all right. We got the squad in the house tonight. Hey, to the window, to the wall. Y'all know we discuss it all. To the window, to the wall. Y'all know we discuss it all. Hey. Welcome to the Squadcast. Hey, welcome to the Squadcast. Hey, welcome to the Squadcast. Hey, welcome to the Squadcast. Hey.
And really the thing I think about the most is how mean God was. God was so mean in the Old Testament, like, he was a gangster. He was killing firstborn. He was putting grasshoppers everywhere. Like he was tripping. Like he turned Lot's wife into a pillar of salt. Because I felt like Sodom and Gomorrah was crazy. People was having sex orgies, and God came to Lot like, look, I'm gonna burn everything down. You feel me? Everybody gotta die. So take your family and run and don't turn around. And if you do, I'm turning you into salt. Okay, they start running. His wife turns around. He's like, "Boom, Lowry's there. I told you." Now you're seasoning. Now you're seasoning because I tried to tell you, but you didn't want to listen.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Boom Boom Room Squadcast, a podcast powered by Firehouse Productions. I am Mr. O. We got a full house tonight, baby. We got CO Boom in the building.
Yes, sir.
We got Larry the Maestro.
Hey, man.
We got Nina Chanel over here. Baby Hers on fleek.
Period.
We got Ebony over there. Lady E, how you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen.
We got Brother Pot. Hey, and our special guest this evening, man, we got Cedric X, and then we got Pastor Jermaine Richardson.
I'll clap it up, clap it
Clap
up.
it up, clap it up, clap it up.
Y'all nervous? Y'all nervous? No. Yeah. You nervous, Ed?
I'm good.
You good? Y'all ready to get it? Oh, I'm scared to even ask you. Do you have anything for like Black History?
Yeah, I got some.
You got some? Okay. Yeah, we.
You want me to do it right now?
Yeah.
We got some Black History facts you may not have known. Phyllis Wheatley was only 12 when she became the first female African American author published. That's one. Two, Hattie McDaniel, the first African American to win an Oscar, wasn't allowed to attend Gone with the Wind's national premiere. Yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's a good one, bro. I had to get you. That's a good one, man. How y'all feeling though, man? How y'all weekend and everything?
It's Alabama losing.
Yeah, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Damn,
roll tide.
I don't feel good.
Roll tide, man. Everybody weekend been good, man. Said Pastor Richard.
Everything is everything.
Everything. We ain't gonna complain. Are y'all COVID free?
I won't complain.
Man, real quick, man. Hey, I know everybody looking at the show is like, man, wait a minute, something's different. Obviously, man, once again, I'm gonna let these gentlemen introduce themselves. Hit me with some Tupac or something.
Tupac.
You know what I'm saying? Some Tupac or some Biggie. Which I want to hear. Tupac. But hey, I'm definitely finna, man. So what I'm finna do, man, I'm finna introduce these guys and I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, man. Hey, Said X, man, tell everybody who you are, man, what you do, and what you represent.
Well, my name is Cedric X. I'm a member of the Nation of Islam. Far like occupation wise, look, I own an auto body and paint shop over there in the Evandale area. So come and check me out, 507 41st Street North, Birmingham, Alabama, 35222.
They're the truth. Y'all seen that firehouse riding around the city, bro. They painted it for years.
You ain't lying. That color, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
That color for a minute.
Man, and again, man, the guy behind me, my dog, man, Pastor Richardson, man. Tell me everybody who you are, what you represent.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jermaine Richardson. I pastor Bethel AME Church in Ensley.
Right. Hey, it's self-explanatory. Man, we gonna do things a little different. I normally we'll do the news. Y'all got anything y'all want to put in the atmosphere? Because I know it's one thing that I want to discuss before we get into the dialogue of the show.
Alabama better not mess up my ticket.
We gonna win this game.
I mess up my ticket.
Man, what's the young lady's name that that supposed to been drag racing and hit the old lady, killed the lady. I can't even what her name was. Carmisha.
Carmisha.
It says a lot right there. You know, I'm praying. I know, right? Carmisha. You know, shout out to the family, man. Condolences to the family who lost. I don't even know the lady's name, but that's a sad situation. Don't really know. No one knows the truth, but it don't be looking. It's not looking too good for Carmisha.
Carmisha, nigga.
That's a hell of a name. But I just want to definitely, man, put that out there in the atmosphere before we get into the show. Y'all ready to get this thing started?
Okay.
All right, so look, this is what we're gonna do. Who got a coin? Y'all got a coin? Y'all got a coin. Anybody got some change? Ain't nobody got no change, bro. See, that's what I'm talking about. Now, who wants to call it? You want to call it, Sid? Heads. All right, let's get it. Oh, what that is? Your vision better than mine.
Damn, no, it ain't. That tail. That tail.
Tail. All right, Pastor Richard. Hey, Pat, take. We see that bucket real quick, man. So look,
we apologize.
so for all our viewers, man. So what we did was we went to the community yesterday, and we got these questions are not from us. This is from y'all fellow community. You know what I mean? So whatever come out the bucket, it come out the bucket. It's 10 questions in here. We probably not gonna be able to get to all of them, but whatever you pull.
Y'all share the live, y'all. There's people tuning in. They excited about this.
Yeah. Make sure y'all share the live, man. If you do not follow the Boom Boom Room Squadcast, man, on all social platforms, please do so. Like right now, it don't take but 2 seconds. But y'all ready to get this thing started? Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Let's go, Pastor. Oh, we got the biggest
All
piece of paper in there. See, that's
are
normal.
welcome.
All right, I'll probably get that back to you. And Pastor, I want you to read the question. Uh-oh. What we got?
Why do black pastors or leaders feel as if they can't be wrong or corrected, especially when they are delivering misinformation from the pulpit?
Ooh, we ain't waste no time.
The numbers are as follows.
Well,
Go ahead.
I can't speak for all pastors, all black pastors. What I can say is that there is an expectation historically in the black church that the pastor is the resident expert on most things. That's been historic. Now, we're now in the 21st century, and what we have found is that there are people, and this has been this way for at least a generation, there are people in the pews who are just as educated and just as connected, if not more so, than the pastor. So in some instances, the attitude or the outlook of the pastoral leader hasn't caught up to the reality that it's not necessary that the pastor or the ministry leader be the final answer or know everything there is to know about a thing. I mean, information is available to any and everybody who has a cell phone. So I can't speak to the motivations or the attitudes of individual pastors. And what I can say is, if you find situations where a pastoral leader seems to not be willing to admit that there's some things that you don't know, maybe extend a little bit of grace, because you don't know what you don't know until you've been exposed to some stuff.
Yes, sir.
Sid, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to come back with it. Yeah, you got anything that you want to?
Oh, I mean, he made it clear.
He made it, so you feel like everything was accurate. I'm gonna tell you where a lot of frustration come in there, Pastor. I think like you kind of made a valid point that it's a lot of people like hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Yeah. Y'all space out for a minute. We got more people coming in. Yeah, you come on in, bro. Come on in. You got
It's okay.
Come on in. It's all right, yeah. Damn, law enforcement. Let's get it going. Yeah, they easy now. Man, hey, shout out to my cuz in the building, man. BB, man. What's going on? What's going on, man? Man, hey, so I back to what I was saying. Well, I feel like a lot of people do study just like y'all study. You know what I mean? And I think the big mix-up come in where people got their own views, far especially me in religion in general. People got their own views on how they interpret the Bible or whatever they may study. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're a Muslim, you may have another fellow Muslim who probably won't see the same dialogue that you see. And I think that's when the mix-up come in at. But how do you how do you get people to follow that though? How do you get people to stick to what you're giving them? And what if I come to you after church and say, Pastor, that part of the sermon that you were speaking on, I don't feel like that's 110% correct. I feel like that's false. How would you handle that situation?
Can you reiterate the question again? Because now
where's the I guess how can you take criticism from your fellow members? You know what I'm saying? How would you go about that?
So for me personally, I don't have a whole lot of difficulty with receiving criticism, in as much as the way I understand my position as a pastor is not somebody who is filled with information and is giving information to people who are just empty to receive it. And I think that's a major portion of understanding the responsibility, is that if I'm encouraging the members of the congregation to be reading the Bible and engaging in spiritual disciplines just like I am, then I have to have an expectation that they're going to come with questions or observations or experiences from their own life that may either line up with what's being taught, what's being preached, or may contradict from their perspective what's being taught or what is being preached. So there has to be a level of humility and a willingness to engage in discussion about what it is that the individual feels might be in conflict with what the pastor or the ministry leader is preaching or teaching. I think one of the things that is difficult for people who've engaged in church all their lives is being reminded that we've been asked not to make church members. We've been instructed by Jesus to make disciples, and a disciple is a student. So a student is always going to be willing to learn, and discipleship does not end for me just because I carry the responsibility of being a pastor. And discipleship doesn't necessarily elevate the people that I have responsibility over above where I am, simply because they have access to information just like I do. The responsibility between the two of us comes in where we discuss and we seek God's direction on what it is that individual is seeking, what the responsibility is in their context in ministry, what it is that they're seeking to get from where they are in that church. And sometimes, the difficult work of examining your faith brings you to some questions for which there aren't easy answers. So for me, humility is always a very significant, important part of engaging any kind of interaction with church members in terms of trying to understand where you are in your spiritual journey.
I couldn't say it better. Say it what you got for me, bro.
In the Bible, it says, train a child up in the way they should go, and when they get older, they won't depart from it. The word train means to lead by an example. So if I'm lost and I need to find my way, you can't be something that you can't perceive. You understand? You got to perceive in order to be it. So if you're an advocate of God and you leading me to God, then you have to set an example for me. I can't say, well, I know what God at, but then Saturday I'm in the platinum. You understand what I'm saying? Then I'm being hypocritical. So if I'm an advocate of God, then I need to be in obedience to God's will first. Once I'm in obedience to God's will, then he shapes my mind, he shapes my heart, and he shapes my life for me to be an example for people to get to him. Because I'm not the point. It's God that's the point. But if he's trying to use me to get the people, then I have to be an obedient to his will for people to follow me. Now, some of us criticize religious leader because we just want to be evil. So we try to find any little imperfection we can find about the person. Because when you speak in truth, you don't get too many amens if it's in home. You ain't doing all that shouting and catching the Holy Ghost because you like, damn, he talking to me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I know you affecting and you resurrecting my self-accusing spirit, and I don't like that, well, let me try to find something. I don't like the way you charge your shoes, so I ain't gonna listen. And then you say, I ain't listening. Then you saying, you see what I'm saying? See, we do stuff like that, trying to use our deceptive intelligence. So I don't like when people, I'm a Muslim, right? And Christian, but that's my brother. But if he's telling you the truth, don't try to find any little thing that you can find about him. So you want to live, so you want to stay evil. Right. That's goofy, that's silly. That's come on, that's getting old now. You see what I'm saying? So, but we have to be obligated as advocates, as God's children, and if we in leadership, we have to be in obedience to God's will, so we can set example to the people.
Man, hit the fog on that, nigga. Hit the fog on that, man. That was good, man. Hey, man, what's going on, man? It's one thing that he said, honestly, with both of y'all just said at the end of the day, man, we black. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like you said, all these wars and stuff we fighting, these different battles we fighting, man, at the end of the day, we black. We got to stick together. Y'all ready? Anybody got anything they want to add to it?
Well, not to add. Are we still doing the questions?
I mean, I can get another bucket. Give them the bucket.
I just want to know, how did you become Muslim? What made your decision to become Muslim?
Questioning everything.
Okay.
You just can't tell me anything. You see what I'm saying? You tell me something, and if I see like, hold on, that sounds like right, so let me go study and research it.
Right. Okay.
Now, if I go research and study and I see it's the truth, then I put my project aside. OG, you was right. You see what I'm saying? Right. So anybody, I don't care who you, if you speak truth and you mess up my thought pattern, I'm finna go research it to, you see what I'm saying? And then once I see you speak the truth, then I hold on to that truth. I don't care nothing about what color you is. I don't care about you a Muslim, Jew, or Christian. It's the truth that you speak that I love. And if you in love with God, you in love with truth. And if you in love with God and you in love with truth, then no matter who speaks it, you hold on to it because you know that person comes from the truth, which is God.
That's deep.
Do you mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 36.
When did you convert over?
I always been a Muslim. I'm gonna say I came into the knowledge of myself when I was 20 years old. I'm gonna say that. You can't convert as a Muslim. I don't know where they get that from. If you are lying and someone tells you that you are lying, you don't convert to being a lion. You always was a lion. You just acknowledge it now that you are lying.
What I mean by convert is like, I was born into Christianity, but I can make a decision whether or not I believe in that, or if I believe in another religion, or if it fits me or what have you. So that's what I meant by when did you convert? But were you born into it? Is what you're saying? Like your parents are Muslim?
Well, no. None of my no. The word Muslim means one who do away their will to do the will of God. That's all it means. So if I don't want to do it my way no more. I want to do it the supreme being way. No matter if you call him Jah, Allah, whatever. When you do away your will and you do the will of the supreme being, then then you are a Muslim because you're in submission to the will of God. So all this other stuff y'all hear on TV about what Muslim, you a Muslim when you do the will of God. That what makes you Muslim. If you're not doing that, then.
Because I was gonna ask about like when you see the clean cut Muslims in the suit and tie, they out on the corner passing out the newspaper or selling the newspaper, whatever it is. Yeah. Versus you got Jordans, tatted up, and stuff like that. Is there a difference between
overseas, like
when you Obama or any president, if they just out playing tennis, they wear a different uniform. Okay. If you on a battlefield, you put your soldier gear on. Right. When you wear a suit and a tie or a bow tie, that's your army gear. Okay. See what I'm saying? You're looking conservative. Gotcha. Opposite attract like repair. So if I'm out amongst people, I want to dress like this. I got to put my army gear on. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying?
The pastor put on the robe.
Exactly. So that's all it is, okay. But it ain't the clothes that makes you a Muslim, it's the mind.
Right. I got you. Okay.
That was deep. Y'all ready to move forward?
Let's go.
Introduce the other. Okay.
They know BB ass over there, man. Eyes on you, set.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot, Nina, you gotta do your job, dude.
Next question.
It says, why are some of you so stuck on tradition? What was effective 50, 75 years ago is not as effective today. Why do you think young people are leaving the church?
That's a complex question.
Hold on. Yeah, you got it. You want the mic? You want to get it? Okay.
It is across the board.
It is though.
So yeah, but I mean, I guess we'll give it to you first since you read it, and then we can give it to you next. But everybody got an opportunity to answer.
You can take your time, Mouse, if you want to.
Why are some of you so stuck on tradition? What was effective 50, 75 years ago is not as effective today. Why do you think that young people are leaving the church? In one of the books of the Bible, you got what you call Revelation. Anytime you see the word Tion in a word, that means act. Transportation, the shun, that's the act. So that's the act of transport. Revelation, that means that's the act of revealing. What was 75, 50, whatever so in the past is not of today because we wasn't living in revelation. Every so often the Bible has to reveal itself. And Christianity, when it was given to us as slaves, it was not to be revealed that we was like now people can go dissect Christianity like the back of their hand. Constantine, when he started Christianity in Rome in 325 AD, a lot of people know that now. But we was not to talk like that during that time because it was not to be revealed yet. So the Bible speaks in a lot of metaphors and allegories. And it was not to be broken down to a certain time. So you can't always continue to teach people metaphors. You got to teach them the revelation. Like for example, Babylon. Okay, we didn't know what Babylon was back then in the 1920s and 1910, but now we know that Babylon is America. You see? So you can't continue to teach about an old ancient Babylon and not bring it to modern, not bring it contemporary. So you can't reach the youth always speaking metaphors. You see what I'm saying? That's the reason why God allowed pastors and preachers or whatnot to go through the same thing as the people in the streets. You see what I'm saying? How can God use something how can God use someone who never been through what the normal people been through? So that's pastors come from the same places we come from. God just used them as a tool to help get the people. But if you want to be an effective pastor in this day, you got to break down that metaphors. You got to go into Revelation. You got to reveal to the people what they seeing around them. Not an ancient Babylon, not an ancient Rome or ancient Jerusalem and all that. You got to bring it home, So I never have a problem reaching the youth because, I got to talk about the baby. I can't talk about Moses. I got to talk about the baby. I got to talk about contemporary stuff. You see what I'm saying? So you can reach the youth when you able to explain the thing that's around them by using the Bible or the Holy Quran.
Okay, preach. We on Sunday.
Pastor.
Okay, so the question was about youth leaving the church and being stuck in tradition. So there's a statement that I use that I got from one of my professors in seminary that says, tradition is the living faith of those who have gone before us. Traditionalism is the dead faith of those who are yet alive. And so I think part of the challenge for those who are actively engaged in the life of the church is that it becomes very easy and comfortable to stick with the things that you've always done and to not question why they've been done, or if you've questioned why they've been done and the person that you asked the question of didn't have an answer, then you didn't get a satisfactory explanation for why we continue to do what we're doing. Traditions connect us with the faith of the people who have lived before us. I wouldn't be here today had it not been for the faith of my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents. Now, that doesn't mean that I exercise my faith in the same way that my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents did, but it does say that I recognize that they were people of faith and they built their lives based upon their belief in who God is and what God has done in their lives, providing for me an example for how to live my life, but also allowing me to recognize I live in 2021, not 1921 or 1981.
Exactly.
So the things that were beneficial for people of faith to make it through their life experience back then don't apply now. So the challenge with keeping younger folks engaged is to help, from my perspective, is to help everybody to understand that you got here somehow.
Yes, sir.
Nobody just sprang into being like that. And nobody comes into the world as a blank slate with nothing there. You have your own experiences. You have the experiences that were overlaid on you from your parents and your grandparents and their generations. And all of that goes into figuring out who you are with God, what your relationship is with God, how you move forward into God's designed future and purpose for you. So it's unfortunate that it seems like we get stuck in tradition. And I bear responsibility for those of us who are older for not doing the work of explaining what everything means and why we do what we do. And also admitting sometimes that, you know what, we've been doing this for a long time and it don't work anymore. And we might need to just leave it go. We might need to write it down in the book and say, this is what we used to do. It doesn't fit anymore. It had its purpose in its day, but now we've moved into a new day. And so now we need to figure out a new way of being with God. I mean, that's pretty much the long and short of it about the traditions. I think that we also need to recognize where people are. Just as you said, you can't speak to somebody's situation if you don't have at least an understanding of what that situation is. And I remember a gentleman who was a pastor who was himself a recovering drug addict, had been recovering for many years, so had been clean for a long time. But someone came into his church who was high on something, and they insisted on having the brother go to the altar and pray for the brother. And the brother went into something. He had some kind of a seizure. And here these people standing over the brother, praying over the brother. And then the pastor's memory about his own experience kicked in and said, this is a medical emergency. Yes, we need to keep praying for this brother, but we also need to get the paramedics here to see about this brother's issue. He was able to minister to that young man who went through that medical episode on the floor of the church there later on, because he understood the things that brother had been going through from his own experience, and he could speak to that brother's situation. I've not had that experience, so I wouldn't try to speak to that situation, but I have sense enough to find somebody who can.
Right.
You know?
Right. Brother X, you got anything you want to say, my brother? Mm-hmm.
That tradition.
They were saying the traditions from 50 and 75 years ago is different from how traditions are now, and it's driving younger people away from the church.
But yeah,
we talk about tradition and why younger people are not attending church the way they should. Okay, well, you have straight into it. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Testing. Okay, well, if you look at the demographics, all us was born and we came into the world under a certain different demographics. We were told a image of God before we discovered it ourselves.
True.
We were told how to worship God before we discovered ourselves. We was what we call conditioned. My generation, I was born in 1966. So I was born a year before King was murdered, a couple of months. All right. The brother right here was just saying like, well, he's Muslim. We knew nothing of that when we was coming up. I too was a Muslim. Okay. What happened to me, it was happened to a lot of kids growing up. We did not have the ability to immerse ourselves into those children's life. We knew nothing of that knowledge. We looked at them with an objectified personality. You ought to do this. You should do that. You see? Why? Because the people who put us in slavery conditioned us this way. We were conditioned. Did that make any sense? You see, and we have not had an isolated thought on our own. But now, what we're experiencing, well, how do we keep these kids in church? Well, think about it. You're the minister, right? when you was a kid, did you have questions? Why? That was the question. Why?
And we were
When you
told
was a
you
kid.
cannot ask
Because I
why.
said
Right.
so.
Who got children? Do y'all little baby say, well, mom, why? Why this? You know, it drives you crazy, but why? But we were taught, shut that down, shut that down. But that was the child's brain actually witnessing something that he's trying to make peace with. We didn't have the education to know what this child was going through, but obviously this child has picked up or tapped into something that we can't find the words to quantify the child where he is at that point at that given time. So we have to go through a relearning process. Islam, Christianity, but those were just nothing but constructs of thinking. That wasn't you. You're not Islam. You're not Christian. Be honest with you, monkey see, monkey do. That's where we get it from. Those who went before us. Monkey see, monkey do. Until you go on your own self-evaluation learning, you're not going to get it. You're going to mimic because you know what to do. Now, what did I say before I came over here? Who was in the car? Monkeys only do what apes teach them. That's just it. You only pull from the information that you know. When those kids leave the church, that kid is speaking language. We have to decipher his language. What he said is, I'm through with this. That's what that child is saying. But we can't go and reach this child. We let the streets have him. We let violence get him. You know, the streets got a bench on every corner for you to sit down and somebody can misguide you because we have not been trained how to deal with our children. Cats don't send their children cats don't send their kids to dogs to teach them how to be a cat. They don't do that. We do that. We got our head in everybody else huddle trying to be something that we are not. And then when they kick our teeth out, we want to be the victim. You had no business over there in the first place. That Chinese that come to this country, he busy being the Chinese. That Mexican that come to this country, he busy being a Mexican. When that Negro came to this country, he stuck his head in everybody else's huddle and wonder why he is so mistreated. Simply because you're not a nation. You are not a nation. You are an individual in a country that absolutely has no use for you. In your youth, bear witness of it. They don't listen to me. Do they listen to you? Who they listen to?
Each other.
Huh? They listen to them rappers. You see? The rapper learned his language. He learned his language. Did that make any sense? He learned his language. And we have been taught to look at certain things with a judgmental mind. I myself was guilty of that. I used to have an issue with people who was homosexual because I didn't know no better. That's the truth. I just did not know how to deal with a homosexual person. I didn't know the term homophobia. Those terms, we would just say stay the hell away from this dude. You know, that's the yoke of the chain when it came with us. Yeah, stay the hell away from him, you know. But see, now these children, you can't go to them and talk to them no any kind of way. You can't. They're on a total different level. But we don't know how to listen to them. When I was teaching school, I took the time to immerse myself. Forget what I know. Let me be a blank page. Let me be a fly on the wall. Okay. Let me do this. Let me make these adjustments. Yeah. Let me get in with him. I'm gonna dress like him a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? I don't see no fit in doing it, but hey, if it'll make him feel comfortable with me wanting to learn him, understand him with not a judgmental mind. Because again, we did not come over here as slaves. We were enslaved. That make any sense? We was enslaved. We weren't slaves when we came over here. That took some conditioning to put us into that frame of mind. But as for these kids, you could call them thugs. You could title them any way you want to. You can call them this, that, and the other. But to be honest with you, that's your future.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
Woo.
You got something? Anybody got something they want to say?
The children nowadays got their own mindset now. So, like he said, being slaves and being enslaved because you were enslaved. They were enslaved at first because they were still rebelling, trying to get back home. And then over time, it was like, well, you slave, you better do right or master gonna get you. So kids nowadays got their own mindset. They do what they want. But like me personally, I think I rebelled from the church because I was forced to do it. Like you said, I was forced to do it as a young child. Like we get right. They drug me to church, go down, is prayer. Why prayer lasted so long? Prayer, they were like, go down to the altar and pray. I'm like, what am I supposed to say? They made me say Jesus over and over for an hour. Like I was just forced to say Jesus over and over for an hour. So right. So that's what made me, originally rebel from the church. Period. But I started looking in. I looked into Muslims. I looked into Buddhism, all that stuff. But I just got my own mind. I'm not a huge church person. I do believe in a higher power. I am spiritual. Feel like I'm a spiritual person, but I don't believe in the aspect of actually going to church. Me personally.
I respect it. Hey, before we get two and two, hold on, I'm gonna get to you real well. Lad, do me a favor, man. I want to read Michelle's Jemison. Well, she changed the name. It's just Michelle. Now read Michelle's quote, Larry. Yeah, that last one. Yeah, that paragraph.
I think the Bible explains this in the passing of Moses and the changing of command when Joshua took over. At the evolution of life, leadership changes if the leader cannot evolve as well.
Well, just to really pick it back off everybody. For me personally, same thing. Sunday, church. If you can party all week, you can go to church on Sunday. I think we all came up in a household like that. But for me personally, I never felt a connection with religion. I'm just being honest with you. Never felt a connection to it. I always had in the back of my mind, something is not right about this. Didn't know what it was, couldn't tell you. I felt it. Something wasn't right about it. Why is it that everything that I see and look at, white is pure and innocent, but black is evil? How come my God don't look like me? That's the question that I had. And it took some years for me to get to the point to say, wait a minute, something is bad wrong with this world. That's why kids, a lot of people, including the younger generation, have gotten away from the church because of what? Because of the information that's been given to them. When are you going to start verifying this information? If you want me to believe like you say you do, verify it. Give me something that I can gravitate to and build off of. Look at our community, man. What's changed? Believe it or not, I think our community did a lot better during the 60s than they are now. We've gone backwards. We haven't gone forward. Churches are stronger. They build communities. You show me what church now have built the community. Where our grocery stores at? Where our hospital? Where our schools?
Before desegregate when they integration. That's my yeah. Cut it back on
Before integration.
My dad hit that all the time.
Exactly. And for me, like I say, it's no disrespect to anybody's belief. You believe what you want, But for me, I'm like, my man, it's more spiritual than anything. I can look in the mirror and say, that's God right there. I'm looking at God.
And another thing I would like to add, when I was growing up down in the country in Wilcox County, that's rural. That is very much rural. No development, just houses and people that are land rich. But when I was a young boy with my brothers and sisters and friends, we were like a family. There was genuine, true love there. I loved when I saw you. Man, I just had to hug you. Them grandmama hugs. That was common amongst us. But yeah, what did you get? Yeah. But then as I grew up and I started looking, like the churches that's in our community, and we are overwhelmed with churches. You have $1 million churches, $2 million, $3 million churches in a nickel and dime neighborhood. The neighborhood ain't worth nothing. The people just sitting up there, they stuck. They're not advancing. They're just waiting on the drink called death. And the children can't pull no type of inspiration from them. I'm looking at you and you just dying slowly. just dying slowly, or economic death, or social death, all several different kinds of death. And they are seeing this because we're not doing our job. Why? Minister, if you went to theologian school, you were conditioned. If Jesus was here today, would he be over in Mount Brook where they well and happy, or he'll be down here in the gutter where they sick and in need? Which one will he be in?
Impressive.
He'll be down here with us. He will.
So I'm going to push back on that just a little bit in terms of the experiences that are collective in this room are not the sum total of experience of religious expression and church life and church impact on community. I value everybody's experience that you've lived, but it's not the sum total. So there are communities that have been positively impacted. Now, I'll be the first to say that there are, particularly, we'll take our city, for example, we'll take Birmingham, and a church practically on every corner, and no visible progression, material impact on the community surrounding the church. And that is one of my great criticisms of any church or any community establishment that is doing well on the inside, and that success or that progress on the inside is not reflected in the community. I don't let anybody off the hook for that. I don't let myself off the hook for that. But I don't throw the whole thing away simply because there is a concentration of traditionalism, inward thinking, holding on to what we have over fear of what we might lose if we try for something greater. I also have a little bit of grace for how most of us came up in terms of you have a question about what it is that you're experiencing growing up in the church, and the response is just do it because I said so. Because how many of us like to be challenged on things that we don't have a firm understanding of? So I praise my parents in particular for being willing on occasion to say, well, son, I don't know, so let's figure it out together. But how many of us as parents have the fortitude to say, you know what, I don't know, let's figure it out together? The vast majority of us want to be able to say, it is this, it is not that, and don't question me anymore about it. But as you say, each individual, everyone who draws breath at some point begins to question everything. Who am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? What is my purpose here? Why is it that we've been doing this same thing over and over and over, saying that it's going to work, but generation after generation after generation, nothing changes? And I always say that the unexamined faith is not worth having. So everybody has a responsibility to examine your own faith, whether it was thrust upon you or you decided to pursue it. And if it ain't working for you, then you got to figure out what it is that's going to work for you. And if you also got to answer the question, what is it that draws you in terms of relationship with a higher power? Because a lot of people have been fed this idea that if I'm connected to a divine being, something higher than myself, it will make me rich. And those who are members of Bethel can attest to the fact my sermons are generally always about community, always about the fact that God didn't bless us individually just so that we could sit around and have a whole bunch of stuff. And our challenge is always, if you are as faithful in a God that provides everything as you say you are, then it ought to be manifested in some way, not just in your house, but in the community around you. Wherever you set your feet, you ought to be able to see that. So the challenge that exists for those of us who operate in the church is to receive all of those questions, receive all of those observations, and don't take offense at them, because the reality is just about everybody who's still sitting in our pews still have those same questions, those same observations, that same lack of connection. I pastor in the AME tradition, and one of our bishops over 100 years ago made a declaration that God is black, and which was a revolutionary thing for him to do at that time. Wasn't the first time anybody had said that, but within the context of a faith tradition that was born in the United States, directly connected with our experience as oppressed people here, it was something novel. Most people who are, well, let me not say it that way. A fair number of those who have come up in the AME church have never heard of Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, or the fact that he made that declaration at major threat to his life in Georgia in the late early 1900s, when he could have been dragged out in the middle of the night and lynched. So there's always been a connection and understanding of us not as slaves who were brought here, but as African people who were enslaved. And there's always been a fight to deprogram us of that which was laid over us. Because as African descended people, we came here with an understanding of who God is. We came here with a divine connection. It got corrupted by the persons who were attempting to oppress and enslave, but the power of God is greater than oppression. In fact, God is on the side of the oppressed, which brings us through the experiences of oppression to liberation. And that's what ultimately, in my experience as a preacher, as a pastor, I ought to be pointing my folk to. Not maintaining a tradition, not trying to make the pastor rich enough to drive a Bentley, not building a great worship edifice that's beautiful on the inside and the neighborhood is falling down on the outside, but to understand God as a God of liberation, a God of transformation, a God of empowerment. And how that is expressed, how that is experienced, is not limited by the fact that I'm a Methodist. Everybody in this room has the connection to the divine, and that means that everybody in this room has the ability to do something that has been blessed and empowered by the divine. As Paul said, all things work together for the good of those who are called according to God's purpose, and he didn't say God's Christian purpose.
Man, y'all clap it up, man. Y'all clap it up, man. Y'all clap it up. Hit that fog over there, cuz. Hit that fog over there. Man, yeah, you on it. Yeah.
Hey, I want to
put you on. We can put you on. Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
I want to say this.
Go ahead.
A good Muslim is a good Christian. A good Christian is a good Muslim, and a good Christian and Muslim is a good Jew. There's only one religion, and that religion is obedience to God. Bro. If you a Jew and you do right by people, and you fight your evil side, and you tap into your good side and obedience to God, you will have love for your Christian brother and your Muslim brother. If the Muslim do the same thing, if he do good by others and do good by himself, he will have love for Christians and Jews. The problem lies at when we become hypocritical. See, I can talk God around y'all, but when I go in my household, I can live Satan. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm living Satan and I'm being evil, my children gonna reflect my mind. You see? So it's God, man, woman, child. But if it's Satan, man, woman, child, then what you think that child gonna become? He gonna be a product of his environment. You see what I'm saying? So I can't, like this brother right here, and this, he a pastor or whatnot, but I can't be living a satanic lifestyle and teaching my children them how to be devils and then get mad at him because I want him to save both. Come on. You see what I'm saying? Or I can't say, you know what, I'm gonna be a devil and teach my children how to be devil, and then I want to argue with a Muslim.
Hypocrite.
You see what I'm saying? See, we got to stop that. See, if it's Jesus said, if any man want to be my disciple, he must first deny himself and pick up his cross. He didn't say pick up my cross. See, we always talk about Jesus and his cross. What about our cross? See, we don't want to pick up our cross. You see what I'm saying? Because in that cross, you got a horizontal line that represents the flesh, sin, iniquity. Then you got a vertical line that represents your spiritual, your divinity, your God self.
Okay, preach.
The minute you are born, you have to pick up your cross, because now because it's a fight to where if I'm gonna live in the evil part of my existence or I'm gonna live in the righteous part of my existence. You see what I'm saying? So every day I'm picking up my cross because I'm battling my own mind. You see? So if I don't battle my own mind, then guess what? I'm gonna leave it to this pastor to do. I'm gonna leave it to this Muslim to do. What you doing in your own household? Because you want to argue with me about religion. See, we go all day arguing about religion, but after we finish arguing, you go pick up that blunt, you go pick up that bill.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying? Then your child learn from you, but you wanted to debate it with me, and I don't think I do. I just want to help, G. You see what I'm saying? Don't get mad at me. I'm taking all. You know how of a burden it is for this man to live a righteous life. You see what I'm saying? He don't know everything. They weren't meant for him to know everything. Everything that he don't have, God blessed me to do. That's why I'm Muslim. That's why he's Christian. I help him. He helped me. Elijah Muhammad said that the pastor will be teaching Islam in the last days. I never could understand that. But what I have learned to grow to understand is that what Elijah Muhammad was saying is that at the end days they're gonna start preaching the truth. You see what I'm saying?
You just taught me something.
You see what I'm saying? They ain't gonna teach that traditional preaching stuff about the white man being in the sky. No, they ain't teaching that. You see what I'm saying? They gonna make it so plain and so clear to where you can't argue with it, but you're gonna still have these self-righteous hypocrites, these devils, they're gonna try to find some where Jesus ain't that. He ain't talking about that no more. Because God, it ain't gonna be the Muslim because people don't care nothing about no Islam. So who he gonna use? He got to use these people, the pastors. Since everybody wanna go to the church. So what God do is okay, since everybody wanna go to church, let me teach you Revelations. You see what I'm saying? Now go to your Muslim, now go to your Muslim brother, all y'all come together. So if he living a righteous life, I be living a righteous life, how the hell can we be divided? Unless somebody going behind closed doors being evil.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
Y'all clap it up, bro. That was real.
And I'm glad you cussed.
Because you didn't curse. Because you didn't curse. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because somebody said cut the profanity with them men of God. Can anybody in this room address that?
In the atom, let me say this. In the atom, you got a proton and you got a neutron. You got negative and positive. There's nothing in the universe that don't have a negative and a positive to it. You see what I'm saying? How can I know evil if I ain't never been evil before? I'd be lying like hell if I'd never been evil before. You see what I'm saying? But like I said in the beginning, if you want to be a devil, you want to be satanic, you want to justify your evil, you're going to find any little thing you can find. If I say the word damn, oh, he said the word damn. I don't listen to nothing that he said about God. Why? Because you don't want me to resurrect your self-accusing spirit.
Y'all got to have a halo over y'all head at all times.
Baby, you brought the fire and the cross.
Just like, yeah. All right, so just like the rapper Lil Nas X just put out, right?
Lord.
So you know how people say, you know how people say, like gay people are going to hell. You know what I'm saying? So he put out a video strictly showing like him. He was showing how like because he can't when he made it big as a rapper, he came out, right? So people were criticizing him about that. So then he just made this video showing how gay he was or whatever. So it shows him on a stripper pole sliding down the hill, and then he starts dancing for the devil. You know, when people start saying, crazy stuff, about him dancing for the devil, but his message was with the video was of how people are saying all gay people are going to hell. How do y'all feel about that?
I'm gonna say this. How do you know if diamond is real? Because of a diamond tester, right? How do you know if gold is real? Because of fire. He doing his part, meaning that he's testing the children of God. So everybody who go the way that he say go, they on this side. You see what I'm saying? It says in the Bible, Jesus was saying, I'm gonna divide. Your own enemies gonna be those in your own household. The sheep get on this side, the goat get on this side. Right. So everybody who want to follow little Nas, it's going over to that side. But that's how he gonna know who his children is. The fire of affliction, it will test is our spirit. If he don't be this little whatever he be doing, then how do you know what good is? How do you know what a good person is? He is defined of consciousness. You see what I'm saying? So Satan got to do his part. God got to do his part. We can't worry about Satan his part. We got to worry about what part of the scripture we fall in at. Like what you said earlier. To know the evil that he's doing, then I mean you a child of God. Don't go that way. Right. So let him do his part. Because if he don't do his part, then revelation don't exist.
Ooh,
that's real.
But isn't that kind of wrong as far as passing judgment on someone because they're gay, saying you know what, go to hell?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this about the homosexual thing. We got this sinful clique thing going on. If I'm a robber, I want to hang around robbers. So I'm not gonna like the thieves. You see what I'm saying? If I'm gay, I'm gonna hang around the gay, or I'm not gonna like whatever. Sin is sin. There's no such thing as little sin and big sin. We got to stop because you got a particular sin. I'm not gonna mess with you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I can't. We got to stop condemning whatever. Now it's not right. Homosexual is not right. Stealing is not right. But we're gonna talk about one thing. Let's talk about it all. Just not talk about just your sin that I don't like. But what about my sin? See, we don't want to talk. See, we got sin that's like, I'm just got to keep it real. Like threesomes. Now, that's wrong. But you ain't gonna hear about a lot of people talking about it because that's a sin that's generally accepted.
But then they have multiple wives back in the day.
Yeah, they did.
But they didn't sleep with
two different. We're talking about. We're talking about whores.
He tried though. He tried.
Wives. Whores versus wives. These were these prophets and messengers of God wives, not whores. A lot of people use polygamy to have whores, and they got to stop that. And then they put us in Islam and say, "Oh, well, the Muslims they have more than white." No, dude, you want a whore. You want multiple whores, bro. You not finna marry now one of them women. You not finna take care of now one of them. So we play these pimp games. We got to stop that.
Y'all got to have a halo over y'all head. Basically, you got to have he got to be just righteous 24/7, and people like down. Like you said earlier, a cat is not gonna show their kid know how to be a dog. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So like you said, everybody serves their purpose. I know we want to kind of stay on that same dialogue, but we got this bucket. You know what I'm saying? And Brother X. Yeah, y'all really is. That's why I'm curious on what I'm curious to see what this next one's gonna be, Brother X. I'm gonna let you pull. You ready? Read that for me, my brother.
The people.
Has the black church allowed African American community to become comfortable with white supremacy?
Yes.
Ooh. Can you read it one more time for me?
Has the black church allowed African American community Has the black church allowed the African American community to become comfortable with white supremacy?
Since you pulled, I'm gonna let you answer first.
Okay, well, if you look at the demographics of the church and the church being in the black community, it has been weaponized. It's very much so. It's been weaponized. They knew and they understood that we looked at the pastor for the answers. And a lot of times they had the answer. I can't discredit them because that's all that we had, for those of y'all who was not born along my time. But what white supremacy has done, it has neutralized masculinity. That's what it has done to our community. If you go to church currently today, if you just check out the mannerism of the individuals being in charge, be it the pastor, be it the minister, be it the deacon, be it, those are who out in front. Now, if you pay attention to the men, and if you also pay close attention to the women stomping harder and talking more deep than the man. And the man is up there, hello. How you all doing? See the roles, but see, that was just systematically done. It has been weaponized because, see, the cancer to white supremacy is black masculinity. That's the cancer to it right there. The white man has an issue with the black man because of his place in God's eye. This is just who we are. Look at these brothers around here, broad shoulders. They got their jewelry on. Look at them. Now, see, he's jealous of that because he ain't got it. Now, he hates you when you're standing up on your feet and being a man because he can't deal with you from that standpoint. A white man is more comfortable with dealing with you from the standpoint of him knowing you's a damn fool rather than you got good sense. Right. He's more comfortable with you now. I know you're a fool. I ain't guessing at it. I am assured that you are a fool because you don't know who you are. And you are operating way outside of your perimeters. You just out here fumbling around through life. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be going. You just out here. You see, because ain't nobody masculinity. When my dad was in the house and my dad tell my mama to shut up, she shut up.
Get it again.
No.
Wait a minute, you didn't turn the table.
No.
You done shook the table.
See, When he got tired of her arguing, when he was fed up with it, he was done. That was it.
He stayed at the house though.
Yeah, he was at the house. But see, now we see a lot, like, okay, well, you see these some brothers who found themselves in a situation with the police officer, he ended up shot or dead. You know why? He want his court, he want the judge and the jury right there on the spot. The police tell him to get out. I ain't gotta do this. That's something like what women used to do back in the day. If a man, the difference between a man and a woman is just right here. A man know what he got to do and go ahead and do it and be through with it and done with it. Well, women, you guys could pontificate a little bit. Well, indecisiveness.
I don't know
Prime
about all
example.
that.
What you want to eat?
Right. Right. That behavior is transposed from it's feminine energy, what it is. Now you got men who worry about this is right here. Hey, I want to get this girl. Yeah, I can get this girl because I got these shoes on.
Materialistic instead of being a man.
Now, when I was growing up, and I'm just past the mic, I could go in my mother's closet. She had shoes starting from the door all the way around, coming back to the other side of the door and go up in boxes. I had probably 5 pair of shoes, and one was a hand-me-down from one of my bigger brothers. Now going to a young man's closet today, he got just as many shoes as his mom.
If not more.
I'm gonna add to what Herman said as far as all the churches. I'll be over there in Titusville daily. That's where I work at, where I patrol at. It's like a dozen churches over there. Not too many people really go to church. Those that do go to church don't know why they're going. They don't know the significance of that. When I began my journey, my transition, I stopped calling myself a Christian. I'm just a follower of Christ. I don't acknowledge Jesus because that's not who he is. I'm a follower of Christ, plain and simple. So when you say that you're a Muslim, a Christian, Catholic, it's like we're separating ourselves in that category to a degree. So from my perspective, I'm just a follower of Christ. And to piggyback on what Herman said, not to degrade a woman, is when you said when your dad told your mom to be quiet, we all got our places. Stay in your lane. You stay in your lane. So like I say on my job as an officer, give me this cat. Give me him as a partner. If I got a female and we finna goddamn go toe to toe, a dude 10 check you, and your mindset, I'm about to take his head off. She on the ground. She out the game. So that's what I mean by stay. Exactly. Stay in your lane. So as Herman was saying, and Junior had said it before, women has taken on the role of the man in so many aspects. They want their cake and eat it too. You can't have it both ways. So it is what it is.
I'm gonna give y'all,
and there it is.
Give y'all a chance to answer.
The question was white supremacy. Has the church made? Okay, so
Good Christ.
the short answer is yes. And in part because in most instances, you have black churches that are imitating what's done in white church, white culture. And in a lot of instances, it's in part because if that's what you see all the time and that's what you see as being successful, then you're going to go out and try and do that.
Mimic.
And then you wonder why it doesn't work or why people don't like you because you're just trying to do what you've seen these other ministries do. You don't recognize that their success is built on history, and that history involves our subjugation. So I was telling some folks at the church that I pastored some years ago that there's a reason why all of these big mainline denomination churches have whole city blocks. First Baptist, First Presbyterian, they have whole city blocks because in part their wealth was built off of slavery and white supremacy. Secondly, they put their wealth back into the church, back into their community. And every now and again, they drop a few nickels here and there to make it look like they're doing something to benefit the larger community. And we have had experiences where folk look and see what they have done and not understand what the foundation of that is, and try to emulate that, and just basically create a situation where you've caused cognitive dissonance and confusion in the hearts and the minds of your members. So I think one of the great frustrations of church folk in the 21st century in the United States is to have people who don't look like any of us in this room, who self-identify as Christians, but are as different from those of us who are Black Christians as night is from day. You know, how can you call yourself a Christian and you support putting children in cages? You call yourself a Christian and you have nothing to say about Black men, Black women being killed by police indiscriminately. How can you call yourself a Christian and pro-life, but the only life that you're concerned with is from conception to birth, and then anything that happens after birth, they're on their own? That is the cognitive dissonance. That is, I'm not understanding what you're saying because I'm seeing what you are doing. And it happens in our community because, as I said, a lot of our ministries have modeled themselves after these other ministries that don't, you know, they have no, they ain't thinking about us. Yeah. And so, like you say, why would I model myself, my work, my ministry, my mission after some folk that ain't thinking about me? They don't have any regard for
It's
me.
insanity.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a great level of comfort with white supremacy that exists within the Black church. Now, that's not to say that we haven't been fighting that for our entire existence, but everybody here is familiar with the goalposts being moved in the middle of the game. We make an advance and they move the goalposts. And so after a fashion, people just get tired and say, you know what, I'm gonna stop right here and I'm just gonna keep doing what allows me to keep my head above water right here.
Can I intervene real quick? Can I ask a question? You actually have a lot of people, they hear the word white supremacy, but they really don't know the definition of it. The first thing that comes to their minds is the Confederate flag. They see the Confederate flag, but that's all they know. Like we've been talking about the whole show. You may preach something over and over and over, and like you said, your mama tell you it's just what it is, what it is. It's no dialogue on it. Can you give me specific details on exactly what white supremacy is for someone who's watching or listening? They really don't know exactly what white supremacy is. All they just hearing that word.
Yeah. So when we say white supremacy, we're not speaking of the extreme examples of people in Klan robes and burning crosses and that sort of thing. We're talking about systems and institutions and structures in civic society, in business, in religion, in government, wherein everything and everyone who is a part of the white community gets to exercise the privilege that they have at the expense of everybody else. And so everything else feeds into a system of keeping white people on top. You know? And so the moment any of us as Black people decides I've had enough, I'm standing up, everything that they built on top of our backs begins to fall apart. And then we become targets simply because we've decided to stand up. Simply because I've said in my preaching, in my teaching, in my congregation, I've said, yes, our ancestors were introduced to religion, to Christianity, when they were brought over here to these shores as enslaved Africans, but that doesn't mean that they didn't have a concept of who God is. And for your further edification, the origins of Christianity began on the continent of Africa. It is an indisputable fact that the early fathers of the church were African people, and so those are the kinds of things that help us to break that hold of white supremacy on Black church, But then, the experience of the Black church, and when I say the Black church, there's capital B, capital C, Black church, which has been the thing that has helped Black people to sustain our hold on sanity and reality and life in the midst of hellish conditions over 400 years.
That's true.
But we all grow and we evolve. Exactly. And we all get to the point where the questions that we have, we are able to find the answers for them. And as you said, God is bigger than all of this. You know, our religious expression is how we figure out how best to make our way through the world with the divine. But the divine is bigger than all of that. And pretty much everything we say about God is false or faulty because we are finite beings trying to define the infinite. So, yeah, the white supremacy thing, it is a problem in part because we don't really know. A lot of us don't know when we say white supremacy that it is very insidious. It has many tentacles and it gets into every aspect of American society. It's not just the extreme examples. It's the redlining. It is the like what they did in Georgia last week, and you know, making it even illegal to give somebody water when they're standing in line to vote. All of that built to make sure that those who have a tenuous hold on power maintain that power, even though and really in the face of the reality that they are becoming numerically minority. When something is getting ready to die, it has this final thrust to. So the frustration is they are pressing their what seems to be their advantage, but the reality is they're in the last throes of death and they can't avoid it. They're doing everything that they can to hold on to life, but death is on the way.
That's gonna go over a lot of people's head. That's gonna go over some people's head.
I wanna
go ahead, Sid.
I wanna share a little wisdom and leave y'all with something to think about. Y'all remember in the Bible in Genesis when God gave Adam and Eve instructions? And he said, eat all this, but the tree of life that consists of the knowledge of good and the knowledge of evil. After God gave them instruction, the serpent went to Eve and got her to rebel or whatnot. And then Eve got Adam to rebel. But notice what the serpent said. The serpent said that you're not going to for surely die. Your eye just going to become open and you are going to become like who? God. Wait a minute. I thought you made Adam and Eve in your image and your likeness. Your image and your likeness only represent the physical representation of something. They didn't have the mind of God. Well, what made them have the mind of God? It was rebellion. Because they did not have the knowledge of evil. You see what I'm saying? They only had the knowledge of good. Animals have the knowledge of good. You don't see an ant disobeying God. You don't see a lion disobeying God. No creature disobey God but us. But why do we disobey beside creatures? Because we got one entity that's different than all of God's creation, and that is consciousness, the knowledge of evil. Well, hold on. How did we get the knowledge of evil? Because we were going to do evil ourselves. If God made us righteousness, then how we going to be evil? Come here, Caucasian. Come here. Yep. Come here. Because the Caucasian was not here. We are the original people. Black people are the original people. White people come from our recessive gene, from our weaker gene. So God created them for a reason. He created them to give us the knowledge of evil. Now, we can get mad at God all we want to. I don't care. Because there's wisdom inside of it. You see what I'm saying? Their job was to bring in the knowledge of evil for 6,000 years. That's why in Revelation it said, let those who are wise, not stupid, not ignorant, count the number of the beast. 666. 6,000 years that God 6,000 years that God gave them the rule. It took 600 years to create the Caucasian race, and God took 60,000 black people to this island called Palladium to make these white people from our recessive gene. So their job, by the permissive will of God now, because think about it, everything that's done is in God's will. So God, why is you allowing this? Why? Y'all said as a child they asked why. So if you can't answer this question why, then it definitely you were an intelligent person. If you're intelligent, then if you don't get the answer that you need to life, you go to drugs, you go to alcohol. You see what I'm saying? Because ain't nothing out there feeding your mind. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why Allah permitted Elijah Muhammad to come into existence to teach us, because we didn't know nothing about us. I hear a lot of people saying, yeah, we God. Yeah, well, where you get that from? Because the only person that brought in just a little consciousness with Noble Drew Ali in 1914, the Moorish science, you didn't have no other black consciousness. When we came over here as slaves, 95% of us was Muslim. Go read. Alice Haley, when Malcolm X said this, he said, we went no more. So he went and did a research. When he researched it, wow, Malcolm X was telling the truth. That's when he came up with the movie Roots. Look at the movie Roots. What was Kunta Kinte? He was a Muslim. He went on Hebrew. He went on none of this. He was a Muslim. You see what I'm saying? And the only way that the white people was able to even implement or inoculate our minds with white supremacy is because they broke us. You see, they took away our mind. If you want to make a man a slave, you got to take away his original mind, the mind that makes him a man. We had powers in the beginning. We did. But we lost our powers as black gods because we fell for the Caucasian word. They brought in evil. We liked it. Out of curiosity, we did it. We lost our powers.
Seems like we still doing it today.
But in us losing our powers, it was okay, guys. Okay, don't worry about it. Listen, black man, you're gonna lose your power. But guess what? All the while you disobeying me, you're gonna learn the knowledge of evil. You're gonna have to deal with a consequence. You're gonna have to deal with anxiety, pain, suffering, mental illness. Look at all the issues that's going around right now. All the stuff that you see that's going around is because of our disobedience to universal laws. Because when God told us to do something, we said, "Oh God, why we got to do that?" Okay, but disobey and see then. So when we became disobedient, then guess what? Look at the word that we look at. We went from in Egypt, living royal kings and queens, to living in Gate City projects. Because we lost, and we would not get our powers back until we obey God. Why would God teach me how to make a tornado, a hurricane, use my telepathy powers, and I can't put down a cigarette? That means if I get mad and get emotional, then guess what? I throw a tornado your way to kill everybody that is besides you because I'm emotional. So God, through this matrix, through this reality, He tests us. He sends people around us. I see your problem is this, or this drugs, or whores, or money, or whatnot. So I'm gonna test you through your weaknesses. If you fall for the weakness, you won't get your power back. Okay, how emotional you get? Because if I give you your powers back, you're gonna do wrong by it. As black gods, we was doing wrong by our powers. That's why God created the Caucasian race, so we can look at ourselves. When we see them, we see the evil that's inside of us. You can't expect something like that to have compassion for us. That's why they can hang us and not give a damn. You see what I'm saying? You cannot I don't care how you beat an ant, you can't make an elephant. We got to stop looking for them to be more and ethical towards us. That's why Elijah Muhammad told us to separate from them. A cell have to separate from a virus. If the cell don't separate from the virus comes in and inoculate its RNA strain and then make more copies of it. We Caucasians have inoculated our mind with white supremacy, inoculate our mind with sin and iniquity, and we duplicate them by our negative thinking. We make more of them. We become them. And until we separate from them, and the church separate from the teeth, because that's how they was able to control us, through the church, through the pastor. Y'all seen that? What is it, Nat Turner?
Nat Turner.
That whatever that movie. What that movie?
Birth of a Nation.
Yeah. Look at that movie. That movie. That's exactly what they did to hush up the slaves. They sent a preacher. Because the preacher, by our nature, if we was made righteousness and obedience to God, then by nature we love God. So guess what? You go use a man of God, and you let him this pimp stuff, this deceptive intelligence to dumb down the slave. You see what I'm saying? But now the pastors, they getting hip to that now. You see what I'm saying? But they did their part, and it's time for us to do ours as well.
Why are we the most apologetic race? Like, they can do whatever they do to us, man. Like right now, man. Like, you got the football player Deshaun Watson right now. Even if you don't follow sports, I'm finna take you on this little small journey. Everybody know about Colin Kaepernick. Right now, Deshaun Watson wanted to be out of his contract at the Houston Texans. All of a sudden, he has a sexual allegation hit him. It was one at first. It went from one because he did not want to resign with this team. All of a sudden, his character has never been slandered. He's always been looked upon great attitude. He walked away from fights, and they had it on video. All of a sudden, it went from one sexual allegation. They were like, all right, we're going to let that slide. Now it's up to 22. Just like that. And I'm like, man, and it's so easy for us to be like, just turn our back on them. Like, man, oh, man, I can't help you out. I'm going to jump even farther real quick. R. Kelly. We'll kill R. Kelly. We'll take everything. We'll keep him and Bill Cosby in the mud. But we forgot about Charlie Sheen. We forgot about. I'm forgot. No one
We ain't forgot
years.
about it. They don't care about
What's the
it.
Seattle football player, the dude that just knocked the black girl out?
Man,
You know what I'm
wow,
saying?
over today's show.
Yeah, we forget about we forget about him.
We don't forget
We
about
forget
it.
about well the media does.
We don't, but
Well, we
they
don't,
do.
Yeah.
Right.
Chris, the catch a predator guy?
Yeah.
Who's software?
I have to agree with the ladies that none of us have forgotten about what those people have
Well,
done.
media.
The media. Yeah, the media had, because the media feeds us what we are supposed to think.
Yes,
You know,
true.
You know, they are telling us what to think and how to think. But those of us who are conscious and are paying attention, we know what's really going on. You know, and we're not. I don't think we're holding anybody who should not be held in high esteem, and we're not forgetting about those who are pretending like some folks didn't do anything wrong. You know, their day of reckoning is coming. Now, we don't have a whole lot of control over that, but we do know that their day of reckoning is coming. What we do have control over, we need to exercise our control over.
And the question he had asked a little earlier, you were saying like, well, yeah, being apologetic. Now that's has to do with being conditioned, but you have to realize who kitchen your mouth is in. You see, if those people, white people, white supremacy, if they have spent a certain amount of money promoting you, creating you as a brand, you understand? You are their creation. And if they were the ones who made you, don't you know they can dismantle you as well? They have that card. You see, when you put yourself out there for sale like that, indeed, you are for sale. And you are going to go to the highest bidder. I leave it at that.
That's cold reality, but it's true. We going to the back. You say, what's our time? What's our time? Larry, give me my time. Now we got one more question. E, I'm gonna let you pull. E, hit the fall, man. Hit the fall. Y'all get ready. A woman pulling. She pulling. Oh, what we got? What we got?
Most religious beliefs are about being morally correct and having a higher power for accountability. Why do we segregate because of a belief on a different higher power?
Read it one more time. You just catch that one more time. We kind of already hit it. Yeah, get another one. Yeah, get another one. Let's get another one. Yeah, I kind of feel like we're doing the same thing. Yeah. You need a flag.
Ooh. Well, I think we touched on this too. But what has the Black church done for our community?
Yeah, we touched on it. Yeah. Pot, get you one in, Pot. That's what it is. See a woman try. I try to get a woman a chance. Man.
You see how you do?
Oh, Pot, yours better be good.
Yes, we did.
Read it.
Why does one religion look down on another? No, we didn't.
No, we ain't ready. Yeah, we ain't testing.
Can I? So the reason that one religious group or one expression would look down on another is because of two things: fear and ignorance.
And we talked about it.
Fear and ignorance. If I don't know something about a thing and I have a fear that it's going to do something to me, then I want to make it my enemy. That's what conditioning has caused many folks in religious expression to do. I've sat in this room next to this Muslim brother, next to a brother who does not exercise organized religion. Am I? Okay. So being in your presence hasn't impacted my faith any at all. It hasn't lessened or diminished my faith at all. And the challenge that we have is most people think that if you hear something different, if you're exposed to something different, then you run the risk of being pulled away from that which you are comfortable with. Never mind the fact that just because you're comfortable with it doesn't mean it's right for you. So lack of knowledge and fear is what causes us to say my religion is better than yours, and anybody who believes what you believe is not right, and they go into hell, and they'll throw that in there, use hell to scare people, you know. You know, yeah, you know, and the bottom line is there is one God. Everything else that we're doing to try to figure out how to approach God is our own construction, our own conception. Every religious expression is what human beings have put together to figure out the divine and to figure out the answers to the questions for which they're not easy answers. So again, you know, I don't think I need to fear anybody who is of a different faith. And so because I don't fear anybody who's of a different faith, I don't elevate mine above anybody else's.
You know what? I want to do something. I think that ain't never been done before. And this is a Muslim and a Christian talking. All right. You believe in heaven, right?
I do.
Right. I believe in heaven too. Now I want y'all to just really pay attention to this, you know, because a lot of people think that Muslim, we anti-Christian and whatnot. We not anti-Christian. We anti-white supremacy. We anti-negative. We anti-sin. That's what we anti. You know, if he believed that heaven, you believe that you get your heaven when you die, or whatever, right? Okay. Now watch this. As a Muslim, we just believe that heaven is on earth. That's it. We just believe that the thought produces reality. If you want heaven, you want to be in heaven, you just have a heaven like mine. All right, now watch this. Now, all right, despite of what you believe, heaven when you die, whatever, do you believe that as blacks that we need our own political system because the political system now have failed us?
I believe that we need to understand the political system that we live in now, and then we need to formulate our way of navigating within that and around that. So my complex answer to your simple question is yes and.
Okay, so you believe as blacks we do need to have a political system that's beneficial for us instead of going to why it's just like a lion begging a hyena. Hey, could you just please give me something what you just hunted for? You see what I'm saying? And do you believe that as blacks we really need to have our own political system because it's political? Okay. What about our education? Do you believe that we need to get out of the criteria of the European ideology to educate us and we need to educate ourselves? Do you believe that?
We do. Self-determination.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Now watch this. Watch how easy this is. All right. If you believe that we need our own political system, our education system, and every other system that you see that don't do good by us, would you help me build these systems? If right now I get a tool and I put my hard hat on and I get to work, because I'm trying to build my heaven when I'm live, do you want to create heaven with me?
I want to help anybody who needs the help.
Okay.
And if that means that we work together to help, then we work together.
All right, pass me the screwdriver. All right, now let's get to work. Then. You see what I'm saying? That's how you end all that. And see, white people, you know, they going crazy. If they looking at this podcast, one of they is going crazy to have us have this dialogue, this conversation, because they don't want this. I don't care. Look, do you believe that? Watch one more thing, and I promise you I'm through. Do you believe doing good will produce a better reality?
Absolutely.
I believe the same thing.
So
You see what I'm saying?
working against each other?
So that right there, like I say all the time, it's one thing to be whatever your religion may be. It comes down to simple communication, which means listening and understanding. So he's speaking, we all hear. His message was well delivered. We caught that. So you got to have good dialogue. And as I was saying earlier, when I made my transition, I just consider myself to be a follower of Christ. I admit, doing so, I was on shaky grounds. I was scared because from my belief, no one wants to follow the wrong God or have the wrong misconception, whatever. But once I got going, it was easy. It was easy for me. But my biggest challenge is now within my own household with my wife and kids, because I no longer celebrate holidays. I don't do that. No presents, none of that. That's just me. So if you're going to take that step, you got to realize that you're going to have those battles in your own household before you go outside.
And I would just like to piggyback pretty much out what the brother right here was saying. And the question was all these different religions, that these different constructs that we are involved in. The reason why that is because, see, that was engineering. That was called social engineering. The game is you're a Methodist, you're Holiness, you're AME, you're so far and so on. Get all these Negroes and, and all these different constructs, and then tell each and every last one of them not to trust the next one.
Exactly.
Did you catch it?
That's it.
I called it.
See?
That's it.
Now I just divided all of
That's
it.
it.
So religion was set up and given to us as to be weaponized. It kills the cohesiveness for us to come together, because I no longer see you as my sister. I see you as a holiness. I see you as a Muslim. And then I use what the media has force fed me to look at you through this rather than look at you for who you really are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have anyone to explain to you that religion, God has nothing to do with religion anyway. When God made me, he got it right the first time. I didn't come in with
Boom.
I didn't come
There
in life
it
with
is.
no titles, and I'm not taking a title from you. I don't need nobody's name on my hat, my feet, my shoes. I don't need none of that foolishness. He got it right the first time. You see what I'm saying? So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say, just look at and accept us for who we are, and we can move forward on that. Not with those titles.
Man, y'all clap it up on that. Clap it up on that, man. That's good.
One more question.
Oh, yeah, I got a question.
1 second.
Oh, you taking this out?
Why isn't sexuality discussed in church? Didn't God create sex?
Ooh. Where this question came from? All right, this is what we're gonna do. Going off just the time, you're looking at the time. If y'all can just help us out, yeah, try to keep it as short as possible.
Why isn't sexual? Because people are ashamed of what they do behind closed doors. They don't want to talk about it out in public in front of people. Problem is, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be taught. But here's the thing. So we have to make the distinction between what are articles or aspects of faith and what are aspects of biology and human sexuality. And when those conversations are happening within religious context, those things get blurred. And when you have somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, you don't need them leading that discussion. You don't need them leading that conversation. And so if I get asked a question about the specifics about human sexuality, and from a faith standpoint, I know what I have from my book, Bible, but I also know that there's some other information that I need to be able to provide to help people to make healthy decisions for themselves. So I need some medical professionals. I need a broader cross-section of experts to engage in this conversation, because I think part of the problem is we encapsulate things in our lives. We put, sexuality is this thing, and emotion is this thing, and spirituality is this thing. And the reality is everything exists in a cloud mixed together. And the more we try to simplify these things, the tougher it gets to deal with them, because we compartmentalize these things and not realize how they're connected to each other. So I think the bottom line is, and I usually come back to this, it's a fear of what you don't know. A lot of people will not talk about sexuality in the church because a lot of people don't know how to have that conversation. A lot of people in leadership don't know how to have that conversation. And for me in the church, it's got to start from a position of faith, but also recognize that there are things that are not covered by faith, but are important, that need to be a part of that conversation.
The rulers of the time that Jesus was living asked the people, who do you want us to crucify? Jesus or Barbarians? And did I say that right? Barbarians. Barabbas. I'm sorry. Don't you know that the people chose Barabbas? Barbarian was a murderer, and he was an evil person. But they chose Jesus to be crucified and let him live. Now Jesus was going around giving people the game, giving them the truth, breaking bread with them, healing the sick.
Yeah.
So he was doing good by the people, but they didn't care nothing. These the people now. They didn't care nothing about that. They wanted by rabbits to live. Why? Because Jesus, if he was living in this time, he would be talking about no homosexual. No, I don't care nothing about nobody's emotions. No, straight like that. I ain't finna sugarcoat nothing. I don't care nothing about nobody's emotion. Because if I worry about y'all emotions, instead of me saying, "Thus said the Lord," then I'm gonna help Satan continue to create this hell for you all. Ain't y'all tired of hell? Ain't y'all tired of suffering? So what I'm gonna continue to be the advocate of Satan word to continue y'all to help y'all continue to suffer? No, don't do it this way, do it that way. You see what I'm saying? And because Jesus was when you got to change, you don't like that. People don't like change. We could talk all that. See, we could talk about everybody else sin, but when it's time to change our own personal sin, we don't like that. And if a person is getting on your particular sin, you want that person to wait around you. It's like I'm smoking some weed, and this person like, well, it said, you don't need, bro, listen, bro, you blowing my high, bro. I'm drinking. You like, bro, the alcohol destroy your liver, man, bro. I don't want to hear that. Well, hey, Barbarians, come here, bro, because you drink. Come here, Barbarian. You do my evil. Come here, because this Jesus fella, I don't want him around. You see what I'm saying? So if the churches and the preachers would say what God need for them to say and say, "Thus saith the Lord," then you're gonna get crucified. You're gonna have number two people at your church.
Don't sugarcoat.
But who cares? Because in the Bible it say the road that leads to destruction is wet. Wow. All right.
Boy, you came with a word today. Okay.
Oh
on
my!
This good Sunday.
Anybody got anything for conclusion on this? Y'all clap it up on the great show, man. My brothers, I appreciate y'all coming, man. Do y'all feel like y'all would be up to doing something like this again? Part 2, man.
Include the Israelites.
Yeah, we're gonna have the Israelites to come, man. Probably get some more people.
Hey, what are those guys that ambushed Ebony in the parking lot that time?
Israelites.
What is those are Israelites?
They got a system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they got a system. But man, hey, we appreciate all our people who tuned in, man. Make sure y'all go follow us on all social platforms. What we normally do before we leave every show, man, we like to leave something positive in the atmosphere. Like whatever is on your heart, just put it out there, man.
But instead of us doing that, can one of y'all lead us out in a good prayer for the week? A good prayer for the week.
Good.
With the T on the end.
Okay. Let's pray. Almighty God, we enter into your presence acknowledging that you are sovereign. You are God by yourself. You're bigger than any conception that we have in our imaginations, no matter how spiritual we may be, so that everything that we think we know about you is short. You are so big and so awesome and so powerful that we are just awed being in your presence. We recognize, because of your grace, you allow us to be in your presence, that we have a boldness in asking whatever it is that burdens our hearts, that you might provide for us. As you are the source of everything that exists in our world right now. So whether it is needing clarity in our mind about something that is confusing us, or needing some kind of financial breakthrough, some kind of relationship, emotional breakthrough, needing encouragement to take the step that we know that we need to take, but because of fear of what might happen next, we don't take that step. Whatever the case might be, God, we're placing it in your hands right now, turning ourselves completely into you, because you are better able to handle the challenges and the situations and the circumstances that we experience right now. We ask your continued revelation to us of what you're doing in our world right now. And we ask that you would keep us ever mindful, not to assume that you're on our side, but that we're doing our very best to make sure that we're on your side, that we fall in line with your will for our lives, and that which challenges us only makes us stronger as long as we stay connected to you. I pray your blessing upon everyone who is gathered in this room right now. I pray your blessing upon everyone who is listening and watching this podcast right now. I pray your blessing upon your world, which is broken and in the midst of sinfulness, not simply because of the things that we do, but because of the systems and the organizations and the institutions that have been established with the intention of keeping us separated from you. Help us to be courageous in breaking down those thoughts and those ideas and allowing you to shine forth in our experience and in our existence. However we approach you, God, whether it's through the Torah, through Christ, through the Quran, we seek to know you better and more deeply so that we might improve the world that you've placed in our hands, so that we might know that we've done the very best with what you have given to us, and that we might be received into your presence eternally. We ask this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Y'all clap it up, man. Clap it up. Hit that follow, nigga. Hey, appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure y'all go follow us on all social platforms, man. Hey, we out. Squad.
Squad.